Rikishi, a Hall of Famer, on his podcast earlier on, put Vince Russo on blast for what he had said about his son, Jey Uso. What he had said after winning the IC belt in his promo. That it was quite an emotional promo that Jey cut. And when Vince Russo, he had said, quote, "I don't understand this. The dude was so emotional, he could hardly speak. I don't understand. This is a job. The title is a prop. For the life of me, I don't understand how these wrestlers get emotional over winning a prop. Jey Uso has been around forever. There you have it. And we all know how Russo feels about belts. He said that the belt's just essentially a prop. He has said this in the past. And then Rikishi, not that long after, on Rikishi's podcast, he gets right into it. Doesn't hold anything back with his thoughts on Russo for criticising his son, getting emotional after winning the Intercontinental title. So I'm just going to get into this clip right here, right now. Here we go. Here's Rikishi's reaction. Here we go.
Russo said, "I don't understand this. The dude was so emotional he could barely speak. I don't understand. This is a job. The title is a prop. For the life of me, I don't understand how these wrestlers get emotional over winning a prop. Jey Uso has been around forever. Quote."
Okay, well, let me answer that. And if you're listening, Russo, first of all, you can go yourself. All right? You don't have the right to even put my son's name in your mouth. You don't have a right to talk about somebody that has laced up boots for 17 plus years, broken bones, broken body bones, sweat, tear, and blood in that ring, sometimes 45 minutes. Ladders, chairs match, split wide open. You don't have a right to open your mouth of what you think is right for a person when you finally win this so-called prop that you think. When was the first time, when did you ever get your ass in there and run a match 45 minutes? Anybody can pull up a pencil and write your fantasies of what you think an angle is supposed to be. But when you talk about my boy, when you talk about you didn't understand, you got right, you didn't understand. So if you got a problem with my son, if you got a problem with him winning the strap, the so-called prop, what your ass call it, because that's what you do. You that damn computer gangster, the one that want to talk behind online.
Keyboard warrior.
Why you letting your fingers do the talking through your iPhone or whatever the case it may be? Hey man, step up. Step the up. Let's do this. You ain't even gonna have my boy there. Me and you, man. Me and you. So anytime you want to open your mouth about the Anawai Fatu clan and you try to disrespect what my boys or what my family has worked hard for 75 plus years, man. This kid here bust his ass for 16 years, man. So you would never know that hard grind, let alone not being home for his kids. Traveling one side of the world to the next side of the world to do what he's got to do. There has to be a purpose for something. What is it? What is it with you trying to, like you just trying to knock those that a moment that means so much to a person that's well deserving. So I ain't hard to find, man. You want to link up? You know where to find me. Keep my family's name out your mouth, especially my son.
There we have it. Did not mince his words one bit, did Big Quiche. And, wow. Must say, that was a hell of a promo. It felt like he was it was almost like he's cutting a wrestling promo. Like some of it was maybe, he's very fired up and passionate in his real life when it's involving his son. But I think like there was an element of a bit of a work shoot in there. with what he was saying. But yeah, I mean, I must say, even though I do appreciate Vince Russo's creativity and a lot of the stuff that he's done in the business, I felt that he was off the mark with this for being critical of Jey Uso for getting emotional. I feel that Jey Uso had every right to be emotional after winning the Intercontinental title belt. I mean, shit, 4 years ago, it's like him and, Jimmy still being a tag team. Some people maybe said some might have felt it was just too much. It's like overdone. And then, now they've got like their individual identities, do Jey and Jimmy. If Jimmy doesn't get hurt during that pandemic era, does Jey Uso does he go and have that singles run where he has the matches with Roman and then he gets over on his own? I don't know. And yeah, but so I felt he was wrong for being critical about him being emotional. And then Ryback even said, Jey Uso's emotional moment after winning the Intercontinental Championship goes beyond the title itself. As someone who's held that very championship, I know the weight behind it. In WWE, we're taught early the championships are props, but the emotion comes from the journey, the years of sacrifice, being overlooked, and the pain of not being home. Jey has endured all that, and Rikishi's frustrations with Vince are completely justified. Some, whether writers, former writers, or fans, will never understand the real journey of a pro wrestler because they've never lived that life at the scale we have. Hashtag feed me more. Yeah, you know what? Fair play. Well said, Ryback. And I just think at that moment, considering it's the Intercontinental title belt, and considering like how more over Jey Uso's getting with this whole Yeet thing, I don't personally get it, but the fans are behind him. That was a big thing for the company to say, no, hey, you're the guy now to win the based on the roster on Raw, the second most important title belt. That used to be at one point before they had the two world title belts. The Intercontinental title was the second belt, and that usually meant you were going to go soon. Soon you would get to the World Championship. So there was a big deal for him. And I can understand him being emotional. Big thing with all the years that he's been in the business. But then Russo got back and he said, here you 100% respect your opinion as well as Rikishi's, but my opinion is 100% based on my journey and my experiences. That's why my opinion is my opinion. I was a writer-producer and it was a job. That's my experience. That's why my POV point of view is different. Wasn't tending to get anyone hot over it. And yeah, maybe that was Russo. That was, he, in his head, he feels that wasn't the case. But I don't know, man. I've said before, and I had a video about this, about, with Disco Inferno being critical. He was being critical of Vince Russo and his overall criticism that he has of wrestling, the current product. Sometimes I do start to feel that maybe a lot of the stuff with Russo is stick, and he just he needs something to have a go at and be critical of. But then Vince Russo had another tweet and he said, just found out why Ryo Rikishi is hot on me. What I said about a wrestler getting emotional over winning a title, what I've said for years. And while I understand the fact is that a writer/producer will look at something much differently than an actor or a performer does, that's why they're two totally different jobs. Nothing against Rikishi or Jey, huge fan of both, just two different points of view. Also remember, merit isn't the only reason a belt is put on a wrestler. In some instances, there's also a thing called politics involved. Trust me, I know. But I think in this case, Jey Uso has very much earned it. I don't think it's coming down to politics or, who his family is. He's very much earned this. And, fair play to him. Well done, Jey. But, I mean, yeah, I think with Russo... Yeah, I think he was off the mark with his comments. I feel that not intentionally. I don't think he was meaning to just belittle his moment of winning the title. I think that Russo saying about the belt being a prop, but it's a big deal when the company says that you're their guy. They've got all this. They're putting their faith in you, right? And so it's a big thing. It depends on the moment. I suppose the circumstances, but sometimes in a way, maybe it is just shtick with Russo, because Russo's kind of like he's done this before. I know, where he'll constantly say, "Oh, wrestling's fake. It's fake this, fake that, fake fight, rah rah rah," and that pisses off a lot of wrestlers in the business. Not all of them. Some of them don't really mind, they aren't offended, but there are wrestlers who do take offense to that when the industry that they're in and the profession that they're in, that is what they do to make a living and feeds their family. Russo just calls it fake. He uses that word. He uses the F word, right? And Russo's done that before. He's used that word in that context. You could easily just say, look, the outcomes are predetermined, whatever, But then I think people didn't like that TNA when he was writing how it's fake in his blog, and, they don't find it fake when they've broken their backs, their spines, broken their necks, broke their leg. To them, this ain't fake. You know what I mean? That's people take offense to that. And especially the Samoan family. I mean, shit, Haku, didn't he bite a guy's nose off for saying how wrestling was fake? I mean, you know what I mean? You don't want to fuck with those guys. But yeah, I mean, the promo that Rikishi cut, when he was proper fired up, I don't think he was really acting. He certainly was pissed off over what Vince Russo said. I don't know. I don't think Russo would be wanting to run into Rikishi at a convention anytime soon, because I don't think he'll want to hear it. I don't think he'll want to hear Russo's explanations. And even though, Russo's maybe, he's early 60s, he's maybe 3-4 years older than Rikishi. Nah, I don't think Rikishi will want to hear it, bro. He will not want to hear it. He won't have any time for Russo. And I mean, again, he's entitled to his opinion, but I don't think that was entirely necessary. We had to poo-poo over it and kind of why did he have to cry, bro? Like the thing that he'll do, and I know he'll go on his podcast later with that guy Chris, Legion of Raw, and then he'll try and he'll backpedal a little bit, and he'll make out like it wasn't a big thing, whatever, right? But yeah, I do think there's a lot. It's just shtick for the most part. But it works because it keeps Russo's name out there, and then you'll get wrestlers who don't particularly like him, some that don't like him all that much anyway, and then they'll cut a promo on him, and then he'll be like, oh, why does everybody hate me, bro? But it's like the same old, right? We've seen this before about Russo having a feeling like the world's against him, but yeah. So I was probably I agreed more with what Rikishi had to say. I really did. It's a big deal. I don't think you can just write off the belt as a prop. It's a big thing. And, I mean, they say in wrestling, the two things that are real are the money and the miles, right? But there's a reason that guys will take themselves seriously. It's because, again, the further they are up the card, they're going to make more money. So, but then there is that element of wrestlers, as time goes on, they're in the business becoming marks for themselves. But there's a good way of being a mark, and I suppose there's a bad way, right? But yeah, Russo feels. I know he'll feel a certain way about things, and people are marks, it's fake, it's this, it's that. But sometimes it can be a little bit, derogatory and off-putting the way Russo talks like that. I don't know if he means it, but it can come off a little bit like that at times. Yeah, I think the whole thing, Russo does make some points that maybe sometimes there's too much crying in wrestling. That seemed to be quite a bit of a thing with Cody in his promos. That was an issue there. But I think, the right time, the right moment, the right place, people can get emotional. I think that's what Dolph Ziggler, when he was saying when Russo was on that Busted Open radio show, he was saying that thing that he felt emotional, and when he was cutting that promo, when it was that feud with Miz, and he said, oh, if I lose, I'm going to quit. My career's over. That was the whole deal, right? And he got emotional, and sometimes it's just the right thing, right? Whether it was in the script or not in the script for Jey Uso to get emotional, it was a big deal, and he probably genuinely would have felt emotional winning the Intercontinental title. That's just how it is in wrestling. These whole things where people can get emotional or after a match or tears come on. Sometimes it can be part of the script. Sometimes there's just genuine emotion there. It can be a little bit of both, right? But yeah, I mean, yeah, Russo will tweet a bit more, and it helps him get his name out there and shit. But you know what? Sometimes, yeah, it's a little bit just kind of like shtick with Russo. And yeah, Jey Uso and Rikishi's not one you want to mess with. and so I could see Russo maybe doing a few more tweets on this, and maybe a little bit of backpedaling. Don't know if it's going to get to the point where Russo's on Rikishi's podcast. That would be quite something, though, that he would get his numbers up. But yeah, Yeah, I think it was Russo. Maybe should have just left that one alone. That, you know, it was a big moment for Jey Uso, and in this, in that moment, you know, it was the circumstances there surrounding it. You know, Jey Uso, nothing wrong with that. Showed a bit of emotion there for winning the Intercontinental title. I had no problem with that personally. But that's my thoughts on that, guys. You know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment. Let me know what your take is on this. Do you side with Rikishi on this, on his what he said about Russo, or are you more on the side of what Vinny Roo has to say and thinking that, you know, you shouldn't be you know, having the waterworks over winning a prop belt, bro? But yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. But that's me for now, guys. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.